It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Right? Isn't that one of your favorite Christmas songs too? I know it's mine. It was written all the way back in 1951, and it's the kind of nostalgic Christmas song we love. With talk of the five and dime, the tree in the Grand Hotel, hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots, dolls that can talk and go for a walk, candy canes, and silver lanes aglow. That's what Christmas looked like then, I suppose. But what does it look like now? How does it begin to look a lot like Christmas with us? I'd like for you to think for a minute and then maybe turn to someone you're sitting beside and just share this. Share a favorite way that it begins to look a lot like Christmas in your home, in your neighborhood, or our community. Share that now if you will. Well, what is it? Is it decorations like are here in our second sanctuary, or maybe when the Christmas tree goes up in your own home? Is it when the cards start arriving in the mail, or maybe when your counter starts collecting all those holiday goodies? Whatever it is that helps you think it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, notice that we've trained ourselves to recognize these sights of the season. We're eager to see the presence of lights and decorations and Christmas cards and all the rest, and through them to know that this special time of year is at hand. Question: have we trained ourselves to do the same thing when it comes to the presence of God? The signs that God is at hand. If I asked you to share your favorite way it looks like God is with us, would that be a more difficult question? Are those signs harder to recognize? Well, maybe that's one way to understand the story we hear in our gospel reading from Matthew today. It's a story about a question. About the question of recognizing the signs that God is at hand. Well, here's the situation. John the Baptist had been out in the wilderness preparing the way of the Lord. We heard that part of the story last week. But today we find that John is in prison, having gotten himself in trouble by angering the wrong sorts of people. And from prison, he sends word by his followers to ask Jesus this question: are you the one? Are you the one we've been waiting for, or not? It seems like John has heard a little something about Jesus while in prison, and maybe he has doubts, or isn't sure about what he is hearing. If in fact this is news about the long-awaited Messiah, the one he had prepared the way for. And so he asks, are you the one? And how does Jesus respond? Go tell John what you see and hear. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed. The deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. What Jesus does, you see, is he gives a list of all the healing and all the preaching that he is up to. And it's a great list. But then, maybe that's not what John was looking for. Don't get me wrong, John was looking for the coming of the Lord, but maybe just not one who did those things. What does the coming of the Lord look like? What's it supposed to look like? Well, John had announced one that was coming with a winnowing fork in his hand, who would burn up the chaff of the world with a consuming fire. The healing and cleansing, good news to the poor, well, maybe those didn't seem as flashy. Are you the one who is to come, Jesus? Or are we to wait for another? Because this isn't quite what we were expecting from God's chosen one. Is that how it was with John? Well, it's hard to say. But it certainly was how many people reacted to Jesus. And it's probably how we react to the stories about his ministry sometimes as well. Healings, cleansing, good news to the poor, what's that to us? What does that have to do with the things we see? Especially now, when it's getting to look so much like Christmas. There was this story a few years ago about this wonderful social experiment conducted by the Washington Post. I'm not sure if you saw it. But what they did was they set up a camera to record the commuters at a busy Washington subway stop where there was a violinist playing. The point of the experiment was to get the reaction of the people to the music. Well, hundreds of people walked by that day. But as you would expect, almost none of them stopped to listen. A few did, briefly. And some of those threw in a couple of dollars to the violin case of this street performer. No big deal, just a regular day at the Metro. Except that it wasn't a regular day. Because the violinist wasn't just another street performer. He was Joshua Bell, one of the world's finest concert violinists, playing his multi-million-dollar Stradivarius. 3 days earlier, he had filled Boston Symphony Hall with people paying hundreds of dollars to see him play these same songs on his violin. But now people pass by without even noticing him. The question the Washington Post asked was this: have we been so trained to only hear good music within the walls of the concert halls? Or can we? Are we able to recognize beauty outside the places we would expect to encounter it? Similar to questions we might ask ourselves, is it? About God. Have we trained ourselves to see God at work beyond the expected? Beyond the walls of our sanctuary and the words of our worship? Can we recognize Jesus in the daily places we live and work and walk? Jesus sent word, "Go tell John what you see. Lepers are cleansed, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them." That's what the ministry of Jesus, the presence of God, looked like then. And what does it look like now? What does it look like to you? We can all recognize the sights and the sounds of Christmas, but can we recognize the presence of the Christ? Where is Jesus at work? Healing, cleansing, bringing good news in your life, in your home, in your neighborhood, in our community. We spend Advent season praying, "Come, Lord Jesus," inviting the Lord to be present and made visible in our lives. Will we see him? What will he look like?